Hey guys, it's a rainy day on the North Shore. We're headed to a well pump that's given us some problems with flow. Over about the last year, the well's flow, as reported at the flow meter, has gone from about 50 GPM down to 30, and now it's down to about 20 or 25 GPM. Either the well pump is starting to fail, there could be a leak in the drop pipe, causing a reduction in flow at the surface, or we could have a problem with the water meter. We've elected to change out the water meter for the customer, since that's a much easier fix than pulling the well. It's about an 800-foot deep well, I believe. So yeah, we're gonna head down there and change out the water meter, see what we can see with a new one on there, and if the flow is the same. That'll rule out if the water meter is less accurate. Okay, we'll start the well. Here's the old meter. You can see it's got a little bit of rust on there. Here's the new meter. There it comes. No real change in flow. So there should be 50 GPM going by here. And if the meter's not accurate and there is 50 GPM going by, we should be able to blast this hose bib. You can still see some flow over here. But that halves the flow. And honestly, that looks like about 5 gallons a minute. This should just be cranking. I think the problem's down in the drop pipe or the well pump. Hey, you get a minute?
Yeah.
So I just was at the well site and changed out the water meter. Before I changed it, I test ran it, and it took about 5 or 10 minutes, and it got up to about 10 to 15 GPM, which is low. And then I went ahead and changed it, and it's still showing 10 to 15 GPM. You have a hose bib right there at the very top of the wellhead. Right as it comes out of the ground, there's an air release valve and a small hose bib. And I went ahead and just opened that hose bib full blast, because theoretically, the well is still putting out 50 GPM. We're just not measuring it accurately. And when I opened that hose bib, only about 5 gallons a minute came out, and it wasn't very strong. And then the water meter went down to about 3 to 4 GPM.
I was over there on Sunday. I turned on the well, and the run time was about the same, and I could feel like pretty strong flow, even though the meter was saying something like it got down to like 3 gallons per minute, 0 gallons per minute, but it was clearly still like a pretty healthy flow of water.
I mean, you're just feeling the vibration in the pipe.
Yeah.
Without visually seeing the flow, it's really hard to tell. So the vibration you're feeling is likely the motor, but it's possible. The run time is still the interesting part, because according to our rustic measuring means of throwing rocks at the side of the tank to gauge the level, it apparently is still only running the same amount of time it usually does. So that's a little suspicious, but the fact that I can open the hose bib and I should see a very strong flow of water coming out of that hose bib. Like at least 10 GPM should be coming out of that thing if there's 50 GPM running in the background. Does that make sense?
It's usually like 40,
yeah,
40 to 44.
Yeah, so call it 40 GPM. I did see rust flakes on the magnets on the wheel, on the paddle wheel of the old meter again. And previously when I had opened it up, I saw quite a bit. What can happen in deep well pumps is the pipe between the pump and the surface can develop leaks. It can rust and develop leaks. And those leaks will turn into a hole in the side of the pipe, and as the hole gets bigger, more and more water is spraying out of the side of that pipe down underground. And it's moving the same amount of water that it always has, but because there's a leak between the pump and the surface, you'll see a reduction in flow. Sometimes the leak is so bad you get no flow at the surface, and honestly, the rate at which the flow is decreasing, if this is the case, we should have no flow here within, a few months or less.
So with all of the stuff that you're saying, and let's just say we go with that hypothetical, we're not going to know anything until the pipe gets pulled up.
Well, we'll know if the pump stops moving any water to the surface. So you have basically, there's another thing we could try too while we're waiting for that to happen, is to get an extension ladder and to go and look in the tank with someone who has experience gauging flow visually. Like I've looked at enough water flow to be able to say, oh yeah, that's 5 to 10 GPM. Oh yeah, that's 40 to 50 GPM, just from seeing flows with meters attached. So if someone could look in there and see, oh, that's not 50 GPM, that's 2 5-gallon buckets in a minute, that's 10 GPM. That means the meter's accurate, and then that reinforces the hypothesis that the pump is, or that there's a leak, or the pump is failing and your well pump is on its way out. So because there's two hypotheses: everything's fine and it's just the meter, or the pump and motor or the drop pipe is needing to be replaced soon and is failing. So if everything's fine and it's just the meter, we could look in there and see that everything's fine. We should verify that. If it's the other hypothesis, here's your choices. You can wait until it runs out, until it doesn't move any water to the surface anymore, and then get quotes, and then order a new pump, and then order a new motor. Or you can start now, get quotes from well pump guys to change it out, and then get that ball rolling. So you can either run it until it fails, or start getting that ball rolling, getting quotes, getting a plan. And if we can look in the tank with an extension ladder and see that the flow is subpar, then I would recommend not waiting until it fails, getting ahead of the game and getting the pump and motor ordered and just getting it out of the ground, because that way you have as little downtime as possible. Does that make sense? Because the way it'll happen, if you wait until the pump's not moving any water, it's going to be like midnight on a Friday when it stops. Right. It's gonna be like a holiday in the morning. Like the worst possible moment is usually when things fail. So,
well, if what is the turnaround time between getting a quote, approving the quote, and then the contractors getting that ball rolling?
I'd say a week to 2 weeks tops.
To replace the pump and motor.
Yeah, it depends on where they source it from. But again, by getting it started ahead of time, you can start reducing the lead time on it all, because we can see maybe our supplier on Oahu has one. I don't think we're not going to be able to change it out. You're going to have to get a well contractor for that, because it's not our, like, we can troubleshoot wells and stuff, but we wouldn't be able to swap that one.
There is an extension ladder behind the pump house that Zach, he would use to go look in there.
Okay,
And,
well, maybe at the end of the day I'll swing by and do that. I didn't realize there was one there.
I'm home, so if you want to call me and I can go spot you on the ladder.
Cool, sure. I'll let you know when I'm coming. It'll probably be the end of the day.
All right.
Sweet. Okay, that sounds like a plan. Because yeah, if we don't see a bunch of flow going in, then yeah, we need to prepare for replacing the well.
All right. Okay, thanks, Ben.
Yep, right on. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Yeah, so the water's got to come all the way from the pump to the surface. Yeah, I mean, it looks about 20 gallons a minute, I'd guess. So that's 18 gallons a minute. Okay, you can turn it off. I think the meter's accurate.